name is Scott Smith. I'm currently the supervisor of the silkscreen department at MCA Sign Company in Massillon, where I've been employed for 30 years. The biggest change I've seen in the print industry since I've started is a switch from solvent-based inks to UV curable inks, which was probably about 10 years ago when we switched over. It made the job much easier. Well, when you had solvent-based inks, you were scrubbing out the screens, where UV inks were curable only by light, so the ink could sit in the screen forever basically without curing. It made the job a lot easier. It downsized how many people you needed to do the job. You downsized significantly. We have sort of shifted from employees that they had to pay benefits to temporary help, they call it, which they pay a minimum wage to the employee and probably a couple dollars to the temp service that employs them. Well, you don't get the same kind of loyalty off of them kind of people, because they have nothing to gain. There's no future for them, and that's the biggest change I've seen. I would say basically we are very adaptable to, we change whatever we need to do to satisfy the customer. We tend to find a way to do that. As a whole, MCA has done whatever it needed to do to survive. We've been in business since 1904, family-owned business. So that's hard to say in the United States that anybody's been in business that long. Basically, the press I run, there's no other like it in the world at this point. It's an old wallpaper press that was developed for printing wallpaper, and we adapted it and changed it to make it a silkscreen press. And we've made a lot of changes to it. It's not the same press we had originally, so we added UV lights. Like I said, everything was solvent-based inks before, so we had heater systems that dried everything. Now we're all UV lights, and just changed the press from what it was originally to what it is now. And we keep changing. It's a dinosaur. Well, digital printing is basically full-color process, and that's how they get their Pantone colors. And if somebody's real particular about a Pantone color, it's sometimes hard to hit with digital full-color process, where I can mix my own ink and hit the Pantone colors that you want. That's what we call a spot or a line color, as opposed to a build out of full-color process. Well, what the advantage digital printing has over silkscreen is their line count can be up in the hundreds to 85 to 100 and some lines. I'm not real familiar with it because that's not what I'm doing. But silkscreen, when I started back in the solvent days, it was about a 30 line count. Now we're up to a 65 line count per linear inch on the UV inks because they don't dry out. Back when it was solvent, if you tried to run a 65 line count, you'd be wasting more signs than you would be printing, because you'd be scrubbing them out all the time. They dry out, the ink dries into the screen. Basically, digital printing, one of the disadvantages is the gloss and the speed at what you run a digital print. You tend to get lines across a large banner. For silkscreen, you don't have that. I'm noticing more and more, the more digital printing that we're doing, that they want a overprint gloss, and they cannot put that on with a digital printer at this point. So I'm seeing more and more stuff that's going through digital, and they think they're saving the time from doing it digitally, but it still comes back to me to put the overprint gloss sheen on it and to lock all that stuff in to expose it to weather. And if you're doing an outdoor banner, probably digital isn't the way to go, because in the field it's not going to last like a silk screen printed job would last. The inks just aren't going to last. How MCA affects the city of Massillon, I'm not sure it does.
Early morning and I'm up at it, throwing my cons and my fresh fabrics. While who fitted, pick my bed in case it's matted. Today I'm at it, when time to get comfortable, cause money comes and money goes. And I done blew a lot of dough, taking time slow, so I'm early caught and no. Worm catching, these birds fetching, trying to nest in my house of leaves like they on my side, but they pocket thieves. Shaking bad feathers, I flew through bad weathers without any umbrellas, no raincoat or shelters. Days I seen better, so I ain't never let up. Another obstacle every day I get up. It's like I'm being pulled down, funny how I keep my head up. It was slow though, then it sped up. I made my bed up. They say the way you leave your room is how your days determine. Clear space, clear mind for this money earning. Cause I done had a pocket full of bread, and I'm still on my grind like I ain't ate yet. I go on, never satisfied on this ride. Only got a certain number of days before I die. I go on like a brother trying to reproduce. Just planted the seed and already can smell the fruit. Don't sit on your ass, my dude. The only one that's gonna be last is you.
We had a lot of industrial jobs. When I first started at MCA, we was a steel mill, one of the steel mill capitals of the USA. I mean, we had Republic Steel and Eaton Corporation. We had a bunch of industrial jobs, which are gone now. So we're probably one of the largest employers in Massillon right now, in downtown Massillon anyway. How's the city changed? It's grown, and I don't understand how. I think it's probably been going towards service jobs, maybe medical field, computerized skills, stuff like that. You don't see, like I said, when I was a kid, everybody on your street worked together. They all worked in the steel mills. That's gone. You don't even know where people work now. You have no idea, because you know they don't work in Massillon. There's not that many jobs in Massillon.
So I left the milk for the honey. So I left the milk for the honey. So I left the milk for the honey.
I'm out of here when I turn 18. This town is bull crap. It's just sad.
Well, like I said, we continue to adapt. I have no doubt that they'll probably do that. I see it shifting to digital printing, but digital inks are so expensive, and the time it takes to run a banner, say a 10-foot banner, I don't see that phasing out the silk screen industry for at least 7 to 8 years. When you can afford a press that can put it out at the same amount of time, and the inks have to get at the same cost or lower cost than what we're using now, and I don't see that happening within the next 7 to 10 years. It basically takes 5 minutes to run one banner on a digital press that's 120 inches, or I can run one at about 15 seconds. Setup time is probably faster digitally. There's a cutoff line there as far as where you decide whether you want to print something digitally or you want to print a silk screen, and I think the cutoff point would be about 250 sheets. If you get up above 250 sheets, you start getting into way too much ink costs and way too much time to run the job. As a company, we fabricate everything we print, and like I said, we're into displays, a lot of 3D displays. It's not so much just banners and pennants. We do a lot of pennants. We do a lot of things for the beer companies, tobacco companies and such. But like I said, from point A to point B all the way out the door is done at MCA normally. The die cutting of it, the fabrication, the sewing, it's always changing. You have to stay abreast of the field because it's always a changing field. If somebody I was training to help me, I would like them to have a good idea of color, because you're always dealing with color, and there is people that can't deal with color. Attention to detail, seeing a piece of dirt in the silk in the screen that might go undetected for a long time. Basically, it's that, and I want somebody hustling. It's hard to find that kind of people, especially when you employ them through temporary service.
So I left the milk for the honey, for the honey.